Welcome back, everyone, to Public Affairs. I am your host, Kaylee Aiken, and today I am here with the Marion Mayor, Bill Collins. So, Mayor, the last time we talked, you introduced the Facebook page. So how has that been?
You know, since we have came out with our Facebook page, and again, it is an informational-only Facebook page where we try to put up all of the goings-on in the city, whether it's events, the aquatic center information, senior center information, all of the news releases that we might do any given day. We have made that page specifically so people in Marion can go to that page, City of Marion, Ohio, Love Your City Facebook page, and see all of the daily events and the weekend events coming up and any information that we're trying to push out to the public. And we've actually seen our numbers growing about 500 a day of people signing on to that page. So we're reaching thousands of people in the Marion area with that information, which is what we really hoped would happen.
Yeah. You also talked about the live streaming being on there. How has that been?
We have just started very recently live streaming our Marion City Council meetings that take place. Really, a meeting takes place every Monday night. On the second and fourth Monday of the month is a full council meeting, and the first and third Monday of the month are committee meetings. And we have found that since we started airing these live on our Facebook page, and if you don't see it live, you can also go to YouTube and pull up and watch the council meeting. But we're getting hundreds and hundreds of people watching those live streams and pulling up YouTube to see what's going on in the city. And we think it's a very good way for us to be transparent about what's going on in city government. And it also gives people an opportunity to watch from home, sitting in their recliner with a bowl of popcorn, and instead of having to get out of the house and come to City Hall to actually see the meeting. So we're finding that is a very popular way for us to also get the meetings out and the information out to the people.
Definitely more interactive for people to be able to interact with the city council. This past week we saw some really hot temperatures. So how's the aquatic center been?
So with this recent heat wave, obviously it feels like we're in the dog days of summer, although we're not there yet. So with this early arrival of the heat wave that we experienced last week into this week, a couple of different things we saw that transpired here was the aquatic center has been seeing record numbers, obviously, when it's that hot. Everybody wants to get to the pool and cool off, and we have reached our maximum allowable amount of people in there. We've reached capacity on a couple different days. Unfortunately, when that happens, we have to stop letting people in until people leave. So we ask that people bear with us when that happens. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's just because we're only allowed so many people per lifeguard, and depending on how many guards we have working is what our capacity is, what we're allowed. So we try to keep that from happening as much as we can, but with the heat we've been seeing, there's just been a lot of people interested in going to the pool. We also, during the heat wave, with the Marion Senior Center, we were able to open a couple of cooling stations throughout the city, one being at the Senior Center, the other being really any city location like City Hall would be open for cooling sessions during the day. The Marion Senior Center also was giving away box fans to those seniors that were 65 and older. If they needed a box fan, they could stop out there. That's done in partnership with Life Care Alliance. So really, if you need a fan, you go to the Senior Center. If you want to donate a fan, which we've had a lot of businesses and a lot of private people that want to donate fans, you can drop those off at the Senior Center, or any one of our Marion City Fire Departments also will collect those fans and make sure that they get to the Senior Center.
Yeah, definitely important to keep them cool right now. So I've been driving around Marion City, and I saw the flower bed. So how did that go?
So we talked about, a month or so ago, talked about our Adopt a Flower Bed program, and we adopted every bed that we had in the city. So with that, what happened this year is we take volunteer organizations, businesses that adopt a bed, and they plant the flowers. We went with a pink, purple, and white color theme this year, so as you're driving around town, that's what you'll see mostly. And they plant the flowers, and then the city agrees that we will tend to the flower beds each and every day throughout the summer. So I talked to Tom Trout, who's our guy that takes care of the watering of the flowers, and he said we're going through about 600 gallons a day when he's watering. So he goes out on his gator with the big water tank on the back and makes sure that the flowers get the water that they need so they look good throughout the summer. So we're really proud of that. If you drive through town, and stop and smell the roses, per se.
Yeah, definitely with this heat, that drought, we really got to be watering a lot.
Yep. Yep.
So has there any updates on the Love Your Neighborhood program?
The Love Your Neighborhood program, actually our second one will be this month, actually starting today and tomorrow. And I kind of wanted to explain a little bit about the Love Your Neighborhood program. We've talked about it a little bit before. But the Love Your Neighborhood program was created as a way to assist residents throughout the community with a cleanup effort for properties and neighborhoods throughout the city. During the cleanup events, a team consisting of community service workers, volunteers, employees from the city work with individuals in specific neighborhoods that we designate a month prior to dispose of debris, junk, cars, general waste, and yard waste. So the cleanup efforts generally are a 2-day event, usually a Wednesday and a Thursday. They take place once a month from May through September. We try to go into October if we can, depending on the weather, but we try to get in as many as we can during the summer. Property owners and tenants are provided with education and awareness of city codes through a letter that notifies them of the upcoming events. So they'll send out a letter prior to letting them know what code regulations they may be in violation of, and that we're going to help try to remedy that. It has been a belief that with the dedication of putting these resources together and help provided through the cleanup, events can be a great benefit to each neighborhood and provide a true helping hand to people that might need it. Mm-hmm. So if they just don't have the means to be able to clean up things, we're there to help. And we pass along that, and we try to give them tools to use to keep it that way even after we're gone. So we clean it up, we get the neighborhood, that block looking good, and then try to instill the education and the tools they need to keep it that way. Kind of your love your city thing, love your neighborhood. We all want to keep it looking nice, and everyone enjoys a nice, clean neighborhood that looks nice to live in. So we're trying to pass that on. We're always looking for volunteers. I know last month we had a poet sent 10 people or so. Third Generation Moving Company shut their business down for a whole day and brought all their workers to participate in this event. So without that help, this wouldn't happen. We do use city workers and the equipment that we need to make a lot of this happen, but we still need volunteers. And if any business or organization is interested in volunteering, all that information can be found on our Facebook, but I brought it with me today just to kind of get it out there. So the guy that kind of heads this up for us is Zach Himmler. He is our code enforcement person for the city of Marion, and he can be reached at 740-383-4114, or his email address is zhimmler@marionohio.org. So he takes care of setting up the volunteers and getting things ready and designating the areas that we're going to do. And then my administrative assistant, actually Linda Strelecki, takes care of getting the means for setting up the lunch for the program for 2 days. So we have all those volunteers. We need to feed everybody. And we try to get local businesses or organizations maybe to sponsor that day and supply the lunch that we need for each one of those days. So if you're interested in sponsoring a lunch for one of those cleanup days, you can contact my administrative assistant, Linda Strelecki, at 740-383-5186, or contact her at her email. And she's one of the only people that have Linda and then her last name because nobody knows how to spell Strzelecki. So it's linda.s@marionohio.org. And if you contact her, she's got a schedule that she can set up and let you know what we might need for somebody to sponsor a lunch for one of those days.
Yeah, definitely important to get businesses and organizations involved in this program. And it's...
I don't think I mentioned the area. So the area that we're working on this week for this month is the area of Mary Street, Catherine Avenue, Universal Avenue, and each one of those streets between Joseph and Fairground. So it's kind of that 3-block area between Joseph and Fairground, for those that might not know, kind of on the west side of Marion.
Yeah, and you're wanting to expand that next.
Absolutely, and then the next time we'll pick another area of the city that we deem to be in need of cleanup, and we'll focus our efforts there. But what's nice for people to see, again, going back to the Facebook page, but that's just where everybody sees everything, is you'll see a before and after generally of what this place looked like before we started and what it looked like after. And we had thousands of views on the one that we posted from last month just because it was such a dramatic change from what we started out with. It looked really nice, and we hope to do that in as many areas as we can.
Yeah. Just a guess, how much area do you think you're going to cover by September?
By September, we will have done, so we'll do one each month, and I would say that we will do a 3 to 4 block area in each one of the wards of the city. So each ward will have an impact, that is needed, and it might not be a huge area that we're doing at any one time, but it makes a big difference in that community, in that neighborhood, in that area. And it's very well received by the neighbors. I usually stop and talk to the neighbors in the area that we're doing, and they're just beside themselves thanking us for being able to come up and try to make that area look a little bit nicer.
Yeah, because there's some people that can't even get out of their house. Like you said, live streaming city council meetings, some people can't come to City Hall to be able to see that. So people aren't able to get outside and mow their yard or clean up their yard. So it's really nice that you guys are doing this and bringing some light to Marion City.
Thank you.
So we talked a little bit about the project in Lincoln Park. Why don't you tell the viewers about it?
So we have a new project. Like we talked about before, Lincoln Park is one of the things that we decided we were going to focus on right away upon coming into office in January. Lincoln Park is a focal point of our community. It always has been a place for kids to play ball in the summer. We went from 200 and some kids playing last year to over 500 this year. So we have made a huge impact already with the amount of people that are using that park for what it was intended for. And we're working very hard on cleaning up the park, adding different things to it. And one of the projects that we started on was there's no sidewalk from Fairground Street all the way along North Prospect Street to the entrance of the park. So most of the kids that go to the aquatic center have to walk down the street in order to get there. So it was very important for us to try to get a sidewalk put in that area. So as we began to think about this, and we thought, rather than a sidewalk, let's maybe go with a leisure path. And then if we do that first section of leisure path, why would we try to stop there? Let's try to make it a leisure path that goes all the way around the park, encompasses the entire park, and provides a walking area all the way around the park. So we have financing in place through a grant currently to do phase 1 of this project, which is about 2,233 feet of leisure trail that will be made from Fairground to the entrance of the park along North Prospect Street. And then we have phase 2 and phase 3 of that project, which Mike Bodine, my service director, has been very diligently working on the path of that trail to go around the rest of the park. And we've divided it into 2 more phases, phase 2 and phase 3. Each one of those phases is approximately 2,500 feet of trail. So we are currently seeking another grant through a park grant fund that is specifically for leisure paths and that type of thing. So I feel very confident that we should be able to get that grant. And once that's done, hopefully by us talking this time next year, we'll have phase 1, 2, and 3 all done throughout the park and have that walking trail all around the park that everybody will be able to use for biking, jogging, stroller, just a fun place to go and walk and have fun.
Yeah, because I was talking to you earlier. I was like, I didn't realize there wasn't one because I always walk through the grass. But it's very important for people that are biking or that have a stroller that can't really go through the grass that easily. So it's nice that you guys are doing this for the park. So what job openings do you guys have in Marion City currently?
So currently, right now, one of our main focal points for a job opening is a city engineer position. We've been without a city engineer since January. Prior to that, we had trouble getting a city engineer. So I went back to council, was able to get them to bump up the pay a little bit for the engineer's position in hopes of getting more candidates that might apply for this spot. But it's very important for us. Right now we have an assistant city engineer, but a lot of these projects require a state stamp when we do some engineering work that right now we have to contract to an outside agency to do that for us. And we'd like to be able to do that in-house, have somebody there, 40 hours a week working for the city, working on these engineering projects. So we currently have an engineering position available. We have part-time transit bus drivers. So for our transit department, we have some part-time bus drivers that are needed. We have a senior center part-time driver that's needed out at the senior center that drives the vans. And as always, we're still looking for lifeguards for the aquatic center. So having found out that lifeguards kind of come and go, most generally they're very young people in high school that are the lifeguards, and sometimes somebody can be a lifeguard till football starts and then they have to stop coming and working. And so we're constantly trying to keep that pool of lifeguards filled the best we can. So when somebody takes off on a family vacation, that's going to leave us short, and we have to have people in the pool to fill that lifeguard position, or else our numbers would drop with the amount of people we're allowed to let in. So we try to keep that full. And as the summer progresses, it seems to we get thinner and thinner because of family vacations and sports starting and that kind of thing. So we're always looking for lifeguards, and I think, like I had mentioned before, we're going to make a big push during the off-season in the schools to let these kids know that even if they're not a certified lifeguard, if they have a desire to have a really great summer job, that we'll pay for them to get their lifeguard certification. And really all they have to do in turn for us is make sure that they'll give us 2-year commitment that they'll be a lifeguard for the pool. So it's pretty much a win-win for everybody on that. Yeah,
because like you said, there's only so many people allowed in per lifeguard.
Right.
So it's very hard to get that in there without getting more people. Tell me a little bit more about the engineering position. What does that, what are they doing specifically in that job? You said talking about stamping it and everything, but.
So a city engineer does a lot of, what they basically do is they plan and design and direct civil engineering projects for the city. And that might involve roads, streets, airport runways, bridges, sewer projects, our wastewater treatment plant, and they write bids and specifications for all of these projects. So when we don't have somebody in-house that can do that, we have to source it out. We have to outsource it, which generally costs us more money. They analyze reports, maps, blueprints, drawings, aerial photographs. They calculate costs and the feasibility of a project, so they tell us how much it's going to be and if there's any grant money available that we might be able to utilize for whether it's a road resurfacing project. In fact, we just finished up a project out at the Marion Airport that was a federally funded grant project that tore off our old runway and put new runway down in a big part of the airport, and that was all federally funded dollars. So those all have to be designed and calculated cost-wise and then submitted for a grant. So there's a lot of things that go into the engineer's job. They have to do a lot of, it's basically a civil engineer that has to do a lot of those different things in order to do big projects in the city.
Exactly like the Lincoln Park, and needing an engineer for that.
So we need an engineer to design that path, talk about the construction of the path, what materials are going to be used, and then an estimated cost of the project. So we know how much money we have to go out and look for in grants.
Yeah. So definitely a more important job. That's
A very
needed, Phil.
detailed, more important job. Yes, yes, it is.
So we've talked about the Third Thursday in Marion City. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Third Thursday events are going very well. They're very well attended. We just participated as a city in our first Third Thursday. We had got a nice pop-up tent that we put up with our city logo on it. Our service director. We actually shared the space with the health department because we're trying to get a lot of information out to people as far as the data that we're trying to collect that go into these grants and the things that we look at for that. We also use it kind of as a hiring fair. You know, we may have our transit person down there 1 month to try to recruit bus drivers, and somebody from the pool another month to try to recruit lifeguards or workers for the aquatic center. But it's just, if you go down on a Third Thursday, and this last Third Thursday was a very hot one, let me tell you, but it was still very well attended. So we were set up right close to Founders Park, and to see the number of people that come downtown during that event and get to enjoy all the flowers that we have planted, and the fun and the festivities, the food trucks, the vendors. It's a great day for the city to have those once a month throughout the summer.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about City Hall. You talked about a closure next week. Want to add some on that?
So we have put out an announcement for our July 4th and 5th holiday schedule for Independence Day. All City Hall offices will be closed on July 4th and July 5th. That's the offices right at City Hall. Sanitation crews will not collect refuse or recycling or yard waste on Thursday, July 4th. However, on Friday, July 5th, residents who normally would have had theirs on Thursdays are asked to have their curbside collections out by 7 in the morning, because they're going to be doing double duty on Friday, picking up Thursday and Fridays together to get that schedule back in check. So if you normally have your stuff out Thursday, don't put it out Thursday, put everything out Friday morning, and then they'll be picking up Thursday and Fridays on Friday that week. Our transit department will be closed on the actual 4th of July, but will resume normal business hours on Friday the 5th. The senior center will also be closed on July 4th and July 5th, and no senior transportation will be available either of those days except for our dialysis patients. So obviously all the necessary and crucial parts of our city will maintain their normal schedule. Police, fire, the airport, that kind of thing. We'll have a normal schedule on those days.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the update on Marion City today. As we're getting ready to wrap up this interview, is there anything you'd like to add or a closing statement?
We have a lot of great projects in the hopper, so there's going to be some great things for us to talk about here in the next couple months. We're working on a project currently with a community partnership, per se, with the YMCA and Marion City Schools to get our rec center back open, which is the building right behind City Hall that when the city of Marion used to have a recreation department, that building was open daily and allowed kids the opportunity to come play basketball, volleyball, activities, crafts, all kinds of stuff like that. And back during the recession, that the recreation department went away, and that building hasn't really been used for that. And we, along with the YMCA, the Marion City Schools, along with all of our council people, feel it's very important to get that center back open.
Yeah.
So we'll be going to council on Monday. We've been working very diligently with the YMCA and Marion City Schools. We want to offer to have that facility back open. So we're still kind of nailing out the details, but basically what it will look like is the city will offer the building. You know, we'll allow them the use of our building. I think we'll pay the utilities for the building, but then the YMCA will staff the building, furnish the building, all the equipment, do all the programming, and along with our partnership with Marion City Schools, hopefully we'll have some educational aspects in that building. Not sure what that would look like in the summer, but definitely during the school year, we'll be looking at some after-school tutoring programs. So kids that might need help with a certain subject will be able to come and get help at that center with the help of the YMCA and the Marion City Schools. So we're very excited about that project getting off the ground. You may see the banners going up there at the rec center pretty soon for that. We've also been toying around and kicking the idea around of a new skate park for Lincoln Park.
Wow.
Somebody is really interested in driving that. Councilman Thaddeus Smith would really, that's one of his visions, is to be able to see a new skate park at Lincoln Park, as well as we had a lot of interest in pickleball. So we're looking at a couple of pickleball courts maybe to add to Lincoln Park. We did just add, just this past month, we were able to get the new playground equipment installed at Martin Luther King Park down on the west side of Marion. The people down there are tickled to death to have a new park and new playground equipment down at Martin Luther King Park. So there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, and a lot of these projects are in different stages. So as we start to get to completion on those, you know, you and I will be able to talk about them further as the days go on.
Well, thank you for meeting with me today, because that's a lot of exciting information. I can't wait for all that to be put in play, because I've heard a lot about a new skating park is awesome, because we haven't had one around here in a while.
Yeah.
And same with pickleball. I've heard people going to Delaware out of
It's
place.
a very popular thing right now.
Yeah. So again, thank you for meeting with me today.
Welcome.
And as always, you're watching Public Affairs, and I am your host, Kaylee Aiken.